Hello everyone, I am Tiberius Dawnbringer. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to continue the mini-series I'm doing with the various stones I use for each individual chakra within the system. And today's episode is going to be focused on the third eye chakra. And the first specimen I would like to introduce to you is called Indigo Gabbro. I have two specimens to show you. I'll show you the bigger one first. It's black with dark blue and a lightish gray mixture of colors. This is a rather good specimen. Oops, almost dropped it. It's a rather good specimen that I have. And the other one I have is smaller, more compact, so it might be a little bit darker to see the patterns, but it's pretty much the exact same stone, just square or cubed. Alright, so I got those. Indigo Gabbro is good for reconnecting with your higher consciousness and for intuitive learning, which I'm going to go ahead and say right now that pretty much all third eye related stones are going to be good for that. Third eye is pretty much for working your psychic abilities, whether you're trying to develop them or enhance them, or just to reinforce the ones you already might have. Third eye stones are good for that. Third eye stones are good for trying to connect and communicate with your higher consciousness or spirit, or however you want to identify it. And yeah, so all third eye stones are good for that. And so are crown stones, but that's going to be in the next video I do. This one helps to heal your shadow aspects. If you've ever heard about shadow selves or shadow parts of ourselves, or shadow work. Yes, shadow work. So a lot of people will, in the spiritual community, will talk about doing shadow work, and that is what the shadow aspects are. Every human being has shadow aspects of themselves. We're not all just, light beings with no dark in it. We are light beings, but we also have the dark aspects of ourselves, because we're in the 3D right now. What we're experiencing here is pretty much dualities or polarities, good, evil, black, white, light, dark, right, left. I don't know. There's tons of examples in this reality of polarities and such. So we have shadow sides of ourselves that we're gonna do the work on to become better beings. If we want to ascend to a higher state of consciousness, then we need to work on our shadow aspects. So this is a great stone for that particular purpose. Alright, so I'm going to move on to the next stone, which many people who even aren't familiar with stones would probably have heard of this one, called Labradorite. Labradorite. This stone, I'm hoping I can get, there we go, right there in the lighting. You get that rainbow reflection that shows up. Now, there's some more. This is a beautiful stone. Incredible stone. Let's see. Again, this one awakens psychic abilities. I just said that these types of stones are great for that. This one aids in respiratory problems, digestion, PMS is mentioned. Protects one's aura against negativity. That's something else that third eye stones are good for, is protecting one's aura, for shielding and such. And this is referred to in many books and such as the Stone of Magic, which is interesting. I mean, besides looking magical in appearance, the things that it does, its properties and qualities, you know, it makes sense. They probably refer to it as stone of magic because a lot of people that get into wanting to develop their psychic abilities and such go for this stone quite frequently, along with a few others. Another one I would probably mention would be Lapis Lazuli, which is actually next on my list, so I'll go ahead and bring that in. Now, this stone is actually associated with the third eye and the throat chakra, but mainly a third eye. So, if you've ever seen sodalite, which I wish I had some, sodalite is the exact same kind of blue composition, but it doesn't have the gold flakes within it. I'm trying to get it to where we can get a good picture. Okay, that's probably the best I'm going to be able to do, but you see those gold flakes, those gold specks, that's all throughout the stone. And this isn't just this stone, it's any piece of lapis lazuli will have gold sprinkled all throughout it. And it's a deep blue. I love the blue in this stone. This is one of my favorite stones, not just to work with, but just to have, because the coloration is amazing, I think. So this one protects from psychic attack, like the Labradorite does the same thing. Encourages clear expression, helps with depression, self-confidence, asthma, female ailments, etc. It helps with a plethora of things. What's interesting is I haven't come across this with all third eye stones, but like maybe half of them mention dealing with something along the lines of respiratory or asthma, lungs. I want to say that when I work on someone and I know lungs are their issue in some way, I will tend to pull out one or two of these and use that along with the Reiki healing that I'm doing. This is actually the only one I have on me right now. I had a few more specimens, but I am letting someone borrow them because they are having their own issues that I felt drawn to let them use lapis lazuli to help with their issue, help them get through it. But no, I won't keep talking on that. So the last third eye stone I have is called blue apatite, and this is, I kind of wish I had a bigger specimen, but this stone, I won't say it's expensive, but you know, it can be a little pricey, but it's got this interesting blue. Let me see if I can alter the lighting some so you can get a better idea of the blueness of this thing. And this is, to me, out of all the blue apatite specimens I've seen, this is more of the lighter blue color. So this blue looks a bit more like lapis lazuli blue, this blue, but will have a little bit of like greenishness or turquoise coloration like this. This is more of like a full-on turquoise color mixed into it, but mainly it would be a blue color. This one is known for positive use of personal power to achieve goals. That's a very positive aspect for any stone to kind of have. When we recognize that we have our own personal power, we should try to use it responsibly, you know, not to sound bland or boring, but that's the truth. Human beings are generally good beings. Like when we come into this world not knowing anything, but even if we don't know anything, we would just generally be good creatures, I believe. There's no real evil about us. The only evil that we develop is from our environment, situations that happen to us growing up, a lot of such things that lead to humans becoming not so great people. 90% of the time at least stems from things that have happened to them during their childhood. And it's also a choice, you know, and it's understandable with some of the choices people end up making who go down the darker road, but still it is a conscious decision that one makes at some point to start doing those things, even if they try to justify it. But anyways, I think I might be getting a little too deep into that topic. So this clears confusion, apathy, and negativity, stimulates intellect to expand knowledge and truth used for good. So this is a very positive stone that we actually have here. This is one of my more recent purchases. I've always been drawn just to the coloration of blue apatite, but one of the last times I went to, there's a store I frequent, a holistic store not too far from here where I live, that has tons and tons and tons of stones. And one of the last times I was there, I saw that they had like tumbled pieces, because before all they had were like big rough specimens, and nothing wrong with rough stones, but I generally am drawn more to the smooth tumbled version of stones, if that can be done. Some stones cannot be tumbled because they will not survive the tumbling process, because they're such soft stones. Like selenite is surprising. I've actually lately have been seeing smooth tumbled versions of selenite, but that's a delicate process, no doubt. Used to be you didn't see selenite tumbled because it would just splinter and shatter. It's one of the softest stones I've ever worked with or held on to. I've held a piece of selenite in my hand and barely rubbed against it, and it just cracked and broke to pieces. One time we had this, it looked kind of like a wine glass, but it was made out of selenite. It was more of like an altar piece. Some people would do like ancestral altars or altars for other reasons, but spiritual altars, I'll just say. And we had these selenite glasses that were specifically for that. Someone would place it there and just use it like that. Well, I had one that fell out behind the counter, and it wasn't even a foot from the ground, and it tipped over and it barely touched my shoe and then fell on the ground. And I was like, oh, it's okay. But as soon as I moved my foot, the glass pretty much split into like a third and like a 2/3 piece. It just didn't even make a crack sound. It just kind of separated. And I was like, man, what a soft stone. But anyways, so there are stones that you'll generally will find in rough form only, because either they can't survive the tumbling process, or putting them through a tumbler, like mixing them with water or some kind of chemical component, would actually cause the stone to deteriorate, might even have a chemical reaction depending on a stone. Things like that. Not that there's like a lot of dangerous stones out there. There's just, like I mentioned malachite in one of my previous videos, in its rough form, the surface of it can be toxic if it gets wet, or if your hands are sweaty and moist and you touch all over it, you could actually be affected by it. And so in its tumbled form, it's a lot safer to handle, but it could, if you're like really sweaty and it's really humid and it's out in the exposure like that for a long period of time, it could also release that toxicity that's within it. Bumblebee jasper, which I don't have any of, but that's a brilliant stone. It's beautiful, love the coloration on it, but it is also, I don't want to say poisonous, but it's like malachite. It has some toxic components inside of it, and if you get it moist or wet, it can affect you. The tumbled versions of those, which I think I've only ever seen tumbled versions, they are safer, like the malachite. But again, like if you live like in Florida in the middle of summer and you keep it outside all day long, it's possible that it could affect you. So, you know, just avoid doing that. Anyways, that's it for my third eye chakra stone video, and I am going to come back rather soon with the one that focuses on the crown chakra, and I might have a bonus video after that. We shall see, but I still have like another handful or two of stones left to go through. So if you're still here, I appreciate you. I have gratitude for this exchange and being able to do these kinds of things, and I look forward to making the next few videos for you. So see ya in the next one.